Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, who are you, dear sisters and brothers? Hopefully you are in the best of health and iman today. I am sorry to be very late today because just now I got a guest of your senior, yeah, that he or she has problem with academic transcript, yeah, so he cannot be graduated, so he just suddenly see me and asking for suggestion and solution, so it takes some quite times to discuss with him. Okay, sisters and brothers, time goes very fast, and you have been in the 12th meeting of this course, applied and practical application of macroeconomics. And once we have seen the journey of our discussions, I'm very much discussed with you in the context of theories, but quite lacking giving you such practical application. Therefore, I have a plan. Maybe in the 2 weeks before the class ends, I will try to discuss with you the overall application of the applied macroeconomics. So I will just focus on maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, focusing on the practical application of some topics that we have gone through since maybe 5th meeting or beginning perhaps until the end. Yeah, I just want to tell you about the practical application, not only the theory, but we have the practical application, but the time is very limited to discuss the practical application together with the theory. So maybe in next week or next 2 weeks, we'll try to focus on the practical applications. Okay, now we go to the next chapter. I think you have already gone through the previous chapters about aggregate supply and demands. And if you can recall a bit about those topics, AD and ES basically discuss about how the equilibrium of the income, yeah, and also the interest rate, yeah, money supply, and also the will result the equilibrium in the overall performance of the economy. Yeah. So the ED, yeah, the supply, relates to the income, and ES relates to the money supply or inflation. So how ED and ES be equilibrium so that you will have the long stability, yeah, in the economy. And now we try to learn about the stabilization policy, yeah, how the interaction of AD and ES will result the stabilization of the macroeconomic policy that will be taken by the policymakers. Yeah. And if you have the slide, you can just open your slide, page 1255. Yeah, here, and in this chapter you will learn 2 aspects: active or passive. The second one, rule and discretions. Yeah, this is very interesting topic. Basically, if you have learned previously about these topics, you will have some inquiry and discussions pertaining the policy making process. Yeah. Okay, let me just turn the discussion. Okay, here should be the policy active or passive. Yeah, this is the first issue that raised. So what should be your stand if you are the policymakers? You will be actively engaged or will be passively engaged in such particular issues. Let's see the next one first. Here is the US real GDP growth over time that fluctuated. Yeah, so this is the pictures where the GDP growth is not stable over the years, always up and down until now. And here, if there are some arguments that relate to the active policy, on these statements, you can underline that the active policy very effective in the midst of economic hardship, or I may say economic crisis. Yeah, I will tell you later on. Yeah, the overall picture. This is just the introductions. So argument for the active policy due to economic hardship or economic crisis. Yeah. And here some pictures as well. Impact of the economic hardship to the unemployment. For sure, the unemployment will be increasing due to the lack of opportunity, so that the purchasing power party of the people is very low. Yeah, so that the production cannot be upgraded. So the absorption of the employment in the labor market also very low. Yeah, so that the unemployment here during the recession is quite high. Recession means the long time period whereby there is no any positive growth in the economy. Yeah, so the economy is going down or tend to be stagnant over the time. Yeah, and here the next one, arguments. Yeah, so there are also some groups that against the active policy. Yeah, so the first group promote the active policy, and now the argument is against. What are the reasons? The reason is the existence of long and variable lags. What is lags? Lag is the duration, the interval duration. So if you are giving the policy right now, the response of your issued policy will be impacted to the targeted society maybe 2, 3, 4 years after. Yeah. So this interval called lag. Yeah. And here we differentiate into inside lag and outside lag. The inside lag here, the time between the shock and policy responses. So you see, sisters and brothers, we are now living in the very small and open economy. Indonesia is a small and open economy. So this environment enables Indonesia to be vulnerable to get shocks from external factors. So the shock coming from the external factors will hit or attack the Indonesian economy. Yeah. So this attack will encourage the policymakers to release the policy responses. Yeah. So the lag between the shock into the economy and the policy response from the policymakers called inside lag. So if the shock coming and the policymakers respond immediately, it means that the inside lag very narrow. Very narrow. But the way around, if the shock happens, but the policymakers still not respond quickly, but still waiting and waiting, so it means that inside lag will be so large. Yeah. And here, the definition it takes time to recognize shocks. So if the policymakers very slow, yeah, to respond the shock, perhaps they do not recognize the shock. They don't know that it is a shock. And the second one, to implement the policy. You know the shocks, but you don't know how to respond the policy. Look like what we have now, coronavirus. Maybe somebody already understood if you see in the television. Even the policymakers did not recognize the corona in the first place. Yeah, coronavirus is the shock. It's the shock coming from outsiders. But the policymakers here they did not recognize that this is a shock. Yeah. And the second one, once they have recognized the shock, they should not confusing how to respond the shocks. So this condition called insight-like. Yeah. And the third one is we have outside-like, the time it takes for policy to affect economy. So once the shock happens, the policymakers responses, and then how, to what extent the response of the policymakers will affect to the economy, whether very fast or whether very slow. So this called outside-like. So if a condition change before policy's impact it fell, then policy may end up destabilizing the economy. So the in the box, yeah, what the message from the statement in the box actually is the inside and outside leg, yeah, will basically affect to what extent the stability of economy will be affected. So if the inside leg responses wisely and outside leg also giving effectively, yeah, so this will make the economy will be stabilized, from destabilized to stabilized. But the way around, if the inside leg and outside leg did not well recognized, yeah, is not well first by the policymakers, so it will promote from stability to destability. Yeah. Okay. Any response from audience so far, please, before I continue. Okay, I will continue if you have no response. Okay, here we discuss about automatic stabilizers. Yeah. So what is automatic stabilizers here? Yeah. Look like a machine. Yeah. The machine is running. Yeah. And somehow the machine has a trouble. Yeah. But suddenly the machine can run again. Yeah. Because the machine perhaps has stabilized automatically. Yeah. So policies that stimulate or depress the economy when necessary without any deliberate policy change. Yeah. So automatic stabilization means that the conditions when shock happen in the economy, no any serious policy makers should be done. So the economy will automatically stabilize. So I may say, yeah, this condition happen because the economy has internal resilience. Look like you, sisters and brothers, you every day, yeah, moving around with so many environments, dealing with so many people. But why you are still healthy now? Not now. You are still fine. No, you are still in the best of health right now. Maybe in your body you have automatic stabilizers, or your body has internal resilience. So every shocks happen in your your body will respond it and automatically stabilize, so that it will not affect your body seriously. So they are designed to reduce the lags associated with stabilization policy. So this automatic stabilization happens not because of the policy changes, but because of the internal economics turbulence. So the economy will design themselves to be automatically responding the shock and neutralize, yeah, the shock and give the economy back to the stability. Yeah. Example, income tax, employment insurance, and welfare. So these three items, yeah, will make the automatic stabilization. Why? Because this income tax, employment insurance, and welfare dealing with the income flows, income dealing with the national income activities. As long as national income flowing, yeah, stable, even though the shock happens, so it will give the automatic stabilized. Next one. So here we have forecasting the macroeconomy. You see that the policy somehow has a lags. You see, the lags means the interval durations between the shock and the response. Yeah. So policymakers must predict future conditions. In the meanwhile, the policymakers tries to recognize the shock, try to understand the shock. In the time, the policymakers should understand what should be done once the policymakers understood the shocks, how to respond to this shock so that the future condition will be better off. Here, the book gives you some ways to generate forecasting. So once you have get the shock and you will try to create the policy, but how this policy will give the better condition to the economy. Slowly, you have to look at the points. The first, leading economic indicators. So you have to see the parameters. Yeah. To what extent these parameters can inform you, yeah, about the future economy activities. Look, like right now, if you want to see what Indonesian's economy predictions in the future, you can see from the movement of inflation, for example, exchange rate, national income growth, for example. You can see those things, stock markets. So those indicators can be seen as the leading indicator. Leading means if these indicators move up and down, the other indicators will follow. Yeah. So if the inflation raise, yeah, significantly, so it will promote the unemployment, it will promote the poverty, like that. This the leading indicators means. And the second ones, you have to look at the macroeconometrics models. So you see, sister and brother, you are as economic student, you learn about statistics, mathematics, econometrics. What those course actually tries to inform you. Those course basically wants to equip you how to simplify the macroeconomic environments. So how we model this complex environment into a simple model so you can measure to what extent the impact of these indicators will affect other indicators. Yeah. So the parameters that estimated can be used to forecast the response of endogenous variables to shocks and policies. So you can have such an error. Look like you have what you call you can have the efforts how to measure if this variable move up or move down, what happened to other variables. Simulation. Yeah. So macroeconomic models will direct you to have a simulation. So if you do like this, what the impact? If you do like that, what the impact? Yeah, this is the models. Yeah. And the next one here is the examples of the leading indicators. Yeah, leading GDP, real GDP, and other leading economic indicators. They are moving up and down together, or we may say integrated. Yeah. So if the real GDP up or down, the leading indicators also down, and vice versa. In the example. Yeah. Other examples here, yeah. If the leading indicators here, the red one up, real GDP also up, yeah, and the way around. Yeah. Example also, next one here, you can see the movement. Yeah, they are integrated. Yeah, they are integrated up and down together. Yeah, if the leading indicators going up and down. So, yeah, uh, here the mystic forecasting the recessions. You see, sisters and brothers, the most important factors of the policymakers is his or her ability to make the forecasting close to the reality. Yeah. So you are as economic student, basically, you are trained to understand what the future activities, the future conditions by looking at the backward data. So the data right now, yeah, you are taken and then use this data to forecast the future activities and to what extent the existing data will fit with the forecasted data. You can see here, yeah, the red one with the black with the blue one here. So if the blue one here exactly, yeah, regress or close with the the blue one, it means that the forecasted models exactly same with the existing data. So you forecast the 10 years, next 10 years data, and you will find the forecasted data, and then you try to match between the existing data. Yeah. So whether the existing data will go up and down following what you are forecasted. Yeah. If the data is nearby the forecasted data, so you mean that your model is good, and you can imagine if you can forecast the data exactly, so you can figure out the future. You can estimate when or where the economy will go, whether will go to the uh, positive condition or negative conditions. Yeah, here. Forecasting the macroeconomic because policies acts with lags. So the problem here is the issue is the lags. Policymakers must predict future conditions. Yeah. So because you have the lags, some brothers, you cannot respond the shocks directly right now. It should have the time to respond that. But during this lag, you have to create the policy how to respond, yeah, the existing condition and try to take it and pull it into the future conditions. If I can simplify my explanation is you are given the existing condition, yeah, because of the shock happen, yeah, and you are requested to give the future probably activities or probably conditions by using existing conditions. You are considered to be a good forecasters if you can predict the future condition exactly close using the existing data and the vice versa. Yeah. If the forecasted data is far away from the real data, so it means that you are wrongly forecast, yeah, the future. Next one, here some critics happens by Lucas, Robert Lucas, yeah, whereby the Lucas criticized the existence of the rational expectations. Yeah. So the rational expectation actually make the policy makers to be uh, emotional, yeah, and should be more rational than to make the forecasting, because the forecasting here will take some lags. Yeah. In forecast, you have to take some lags, some years, for example, 10 years, 20 years. And in next 10 years or 20 years, you have to consider the expectation. To what extent the created expectation will make the future expectation of the economy change. Yeah. So here Lucas pointed out that such prediction would not be valid if the policy change alter, yeah, expectation in a way that changes the fundamental relationship between variables. So Lucas tries to promote the idea of if you want to forecast the future conditions, you have to really understand how is relationship between the variable observed, whether this relationship consistent or not. If consistent, it can be used to predict the future. But if not consistent, the relationship somehow positive, somehow negative, somehow is not related. So how we can predict the future rightly? Yeah. So it's the critic from this one. And here is the examples of Lucas critics. The predictions I said before, prediction is based on the past experience, backward data, using the previous data. An increase in the money growth rate will reduce unemployment. So the theory said that if the money supply increases, it will reduce the unemployment. Yeah. The Lucas critics point out that increasing the money growth may raise expected inflation, in which case unemployment would not necessarily fall. Yeah. So in economy system, brothers, I just want to stress here, in economy we have to consider also the social interaction, not only just focus on the economic theories, yeah, or economics in the very static understanding, yeah, but we have to look at very flexible and dynamics. So if you call a relationship among variables, you have to have the assumptions. Therefore, in economics theory, we are given about the economic assumptions. You have to understand the condition, the context, the assumptions. What the context and what the assumption this theory happens. For example, here in the case of money growth and unemployment, what the assumption? The assumption is whether in the long run or in the short run. So you have to be clear in the, so if the in the context of the short run, so will have employment in the short run, but in the long run it will not happen. In the long run, money growth will create more unemployment, because in the long run the expectation will be more, and it change the direction economic activity. So it will make the money growth will be the source of instability, so that in the long run the employment will be higher compared in the run. Next one. And here is just the juries out. Yeah, looking at the recent history does not clearly answer question one. Yeah, the question one is whether it is active or passive. Yeah, so it is hard to identify shocks in the data, and it is hard to tell how a thing would have been different had actual policy not been used. Yeah. So what is this statement want to emphasize? So the emphasis is somehow we cannot differentiate between active and passive, because the economic is very fast in terms of the fluctuations or instability. So what the one that he suggests here is the policy makers will understand when the shocks happen actually. What the definition of shocks, and the policy makers, yes, these and brothers, must understand the threshold. Threshold. Yeah. Okay, I will tell you. I will show you before we end the class about threshold. Yeah. So you have to create your threshold. Otherwise, you cannot identify when the policy must be in and when the policy must be out. I hope you understand. I mean, I will show you later on in this very simple understanding. I did it actually over the last few years, but how to model the stability of the economy by setting up the threshold. Yeah, the threshold. And the question two. So the question one there, if you remember question one, whether the policy should be active or passive. What the answer? My answer is dynamic, flexible, depends on the economic turbulence. Yeah, if the economic is going up, meaning that in the business cycles, yeah, economic is going up, leveraging, yeah, going up. So the policy must be passive. Let the economic growth. But if the economic going to be fall or crisis, so the policy must be active. So active and passive basically based on the condition in the business cycle. I will show you later on. Yeah. Any questions, sisters and brothers? Please, most welcome. Any questions, sisters and brothers?
So far, no, sir.
Are you clear?
Inshallah, sir.
Okay. Feel to be quite tired, yeah. Dear sisters and brothers, but that doesn't matter. Hopefully, you understand what I mean. Yeah. Okay, I will just continue a bit, sisters. This very interesting topic, basically. If you understand this topic, I am sure that you will be forecasters, or maybe you will be great policy makers in the future. Yeah, because the essence of the departments, the essence of economic student is the ability to forecast, the ability to project, the ability of the release the policy. Yeah, not only just giving the recommendation about up and down, but what should be done, having understood the conditions. So if you have understood this is positive, negative, so what should be done? What the policy should be released by referring to that conditions. So this is your part actually. This is your duty, your assignments. How to create a policy that uh, rightly and right, wise, effective, and efficient. Okay, next one. The question two. Should policy be conducted by rule or discretion? What is rule? What is discretion? This is also important. Yeah. Second one. Okay, I want to ask one of you to read this statements. Demas, are you there, Demas?
Yes, sir.
Would you please read this slide, Demas?
Okay. Rules and discretion basic concept. Policy conduct by rule. Policymakers announce in advance how policy will respond in various situations and commit themselves to following the through. Policy conducted by distraction. As events occur and circumstances change, policymakers use their judgment and apply whatever policy seems appropriate at the time.
What you can infer, Dimas, from these statements? What you can understand from this one? Any idea, Dimas?
I think for the I think if policymakers want to apply the policy that they made, maybe they will announce it first, maybe something like that.
Okay. Anybody else wants to supplement what Dimas explanations, please? Meanwhile, I'm looking for my file here. Please, anybody? Anybody want to explain? Most welcome.
Me, sir.
Yes, please, sisters, please.
Yeah, in my opinion, when policy conducted by rule, it means the policymakers has what fix the policy and imagine or uh what imagine the situation that will occur in the future, and they have to follow the policy. But when the policy conducted by discretion, or yeah, like policy also, it is flexible as the circumstance that happen in the future. Yeah, so they have to use what the appropriate policy as the situation.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, feedback, please? Any additional information, please, sisters?
No, sir, I think it's enough.
Okay. Okay. Um, okay. So policy conducted by rule. I I I will read slowly. Yeah, please digest these statements. Policymakers announce in advance how policy will respond in various situations and commit themselves to following through. I will show you in the graph after this. Yeah. Policy conducted by discretions as event occurs and circumstances change. Policymakers use their judgment. Please underline judgment and apply whatever policy seems appropriate at the time. Yeah. Me another 5 minutes. Yeah, give me another 5 minutes. I will look for the data. Yeah, and my research that can support and give you easily understand what this means. 5 minutes, please. Okay. Let me off first. Okay, anybody can see the slide? Yeah, the new slide. Okay, here,
Yes, sir.
sisters and brothers. I just want to emphasize this issue. Yeah, here I have the graphs. This is the graph that I found during my study at the PhD level. Yeah, I'm trying to understand what is the policy making process, how the policy should be released, yeah, and to what extent the policy must be correct, and when the policy makers must be in and out. First of all, yeah, this is you have to understand first the cycles, the business cycles. Here, just an example of cycles, business cycles. In the business cycles, we have two parts. I can differentiate into two parts. The first is left-hand side, here, left-hand side, and here is the right-hand side. So you have here left-hand side, and you have right-hand side. These two rights, the two parts are moving up and moving down. This is moving down. This is moving up. Yeah, moving up here, moving up and moving down. Yeah. So in the left hand side here, yeah, when the shock coming, yeah, the shock coming into here, the example of the system, financial system, monetary system, banking system, whatever system. Yeah. And here the external one. And these external shocks coming into the system and make this system turbulence or getting to be fluctuated. Yeah. And once the shock coming into the system, to what extent the system can have automatic stabilizers. So if the system has automatic stabilizers, yeah, so the system will flowing up and down normally without any changing of policies, without intervention from policymakers. This is the definition of automatic stabilizers. But if the automatic stabilizer cannot be done because of the complication of these shocks, the shock is very huge, very adverse, very tremendously affect the economy. So the automatic stabilizers cannot be activated. So that here we have to have rules or discretions. Yeah. So the rule, sisters and brothers, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, sorry. The rules here is this one, sisters. Yeah, this one. I can say the optimum level, the optimum positions. Yeah. So the optimum position here is the position before the cycles or the cycles turning around here. So here, policymakers must be identified. What the numbers of this one and this one? Can you understand? So on this regard, the setting up of this point and this point, it is called rules. Rules. The rules is the setting up of the policy interventions benchmark, or I may say threshold, upper threshold, lower threshold. Yeah. And if the policy makers has identified this threshold, it means that you as policy makers has had the policy benchmark. Yeah, and because of the shock coming into the economy, for sure the process of economic through activity will be up and down here. Maybe in the first place, before the shocks, economy is here in the bottom, and time goes by, the economy is going up. Yeah, leveraging, I may say, the leverage. Yeah, and once the economy has been here, the policymakers tries to maintain, yeah, to maintain until this one. If you remember last chapters or last topic, we discussed about the golden rule, yeah, of the growth. Yeah, so here is the golden rule. Yeah, the rule that must be maintained by the policymakers. Yeah. So once the shock happens coming into the system, for sure the shock could make the equilibrium beyond these rules, beyond this threshold, or perhaps less than this threshold. Yeah. So because of the condition happens due to the shock, the policymakers conducts the discretions. So discretion means the government policy, how to direct, how to push, how to promote the existing condition to be back to the here, the rules. Can you understand, sisters and brothers? Dimas, can you understand, Dimas? Hello?
I'm still a little bit confused, sir.
Other than Dimas, anybody that understood what I mentioned just now? Elvina or Nana or Adinda? Dinda, can you understand?
No, sir. I'm still
Yes,
confused.
confused.
Oh, I'm very hard now. Then I have to simplify my explanations. Okay. Here, yeah, it is the economic fluctuations. Yeah, I just figures demonstrate into bell shape diagram. Yeah, this is bell shape diagram. And this bell shape, yeah, you have this one, the turning around, titik putar, yeah, turning around here. And this turning around is considered to be the optimal balance of the economy. Why? Because at these conditions, economy has been in the optimal position, the best condition, not very high, not very low. Therefore, the policymaker set the threshold. The threshold here, threshold here. Yeah, surrounded by the turning around here. Yeah. So here is the condition of the rule. So the government has set the numeric intervals, yeah, to define the economy is the stable. Yeah. So the stability of economy is denoted by this threshold. So if the economy going through within this threshold, so it means that the stability exists. But because of the shock coming into the system, yeah, so this condition may change, could be going down, could be going to the right side, could be going to the left side. Yeah. So because of the condition could go to the left or the right hand side or go beyond the threshold estimated here. So the government should take the actions how to pull back, how to promote back, how to give back to the at least the threshold positions. Yeah. So the ability or the action of the government or policy makers to bring along the condition here or here, yeah, back into the rules back into the threshold that has been set in the beginning is defined as discretion. Yeah. So in short, rules is the economic threshold, the agreed economic threshold. For example, this year's government wanted to reach how many percentage growth? For example, the range 5 to 6% this year's. So this year's the setting up of 5 to 6% is considered to be the rules. But in reality, this 5 until 6% could be cross, whether more than 6 or could be less than 5. So this condition due to the changes of the from the 5 to 6%, the government should conduct the discretions. Yeah. So should take the policy that be able to bring back the condition into the rules so that the 5 until 6% can be maintained. So in short, discretion is the policy of the government to ensure that the rules is maintained. Yeah, the rule is the setting up the policy of 5 to 6% is discretion. Yeah. Okay. And here, if you see, sisters and brothers, I already discussed in my papers. I have a papers actually, yeah. And if you are interested to be my supervisee, yeah, you will be learning about how to setting up the rules and discretions, yeah. So here is a study that I conducted, yeah, and then and the end here, yeah. For example, here, the NPF, I think you have listened before, non-performing financing of the banking sectors. The rules is 4.3% until 5.19%. This is the rules. So if the NPF of the banking sectors move up more than 5 and less than 4.3%, so the discretion must be in. So discretions will ensure that the rules 4.3 until 4.19 is maintained because this rule is considered to be the best alternative policy that must be taken by the government so that the stability of the economy will be achieved. Yeah. Okay, any other questions before I go back to the slides? Okay, I back to the slide. I think you need to read more, sisters and brothers. Don't just rely upon my presentations, but you have to read yours, read your paper, yeah, read your textbook, so that you can understand what does it means. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Next one. I just want to back to the slide. Okay, here the slide. Okay, we move to the next slide. Arguments for the rules. Yeah, would you please read, Sister Adinda?
Yes, sir.
Would you please read?
Okay. Arguments for rules. First, distrust of policymakers and the political process. First, minis forum politicans. Second, politicans' interests, sometimes not the same as the interests of society.
Okay, so from this arguments, if government have set the rules, so every single parties in this country must follow and join the rules, regardless the political backgrounds. Yeah. So it is the importance of the rules. Whatever colors that you are, whatever uniform that you wear, you have to follow the rules. The second one, Sister Dinda, please. Could you please read?
Okay. Second, the time inconsistent of discretionary policy. Definition: a scenario in which policymakers have an inactive incentive to renege on a previously announced policy once others have a take on the announcement. Second, destroy policymakers' credibility, thereby reducing effectiveness of their policies.
Okay, so you see, sisters and brothers, I think you have observed in the mid of coronavirus right now. You can see that somehow the government is not consistent with the statement. Somehow they say that coronavirus is going down. Somehow they say coronavirus has been up. The antivirus has been found, and somehow they say there's still process. Yeah, so inconsistency happens. You see, yeah. So the government tends to be inconsistent, yeah, in conducting the policy because of so many interests coming in. Yeah. Moreover, in Indonesia, we are democratic country. Every single parties, every individual have rights to promote or to express the thinkings. So somehow this condition will make the policy makers change the mind. Yeah. So because of the changing minding of the policy makers, the rules will be effective in giving the reference. So if the government has set the inflation for this year is 3%, so whatever condition, whatever environment happens in the society, the inflation of the 3% must be reached. Therefore, time inconsistency will be reduced due to the rules. I hope you understand. I mean, yeah. The next one. Example of time inconsistent policies. Examples. To encourage investment, yeah. To encourage investment, government announces it will not tax income from capital. You see, to encourage investment, government announces it will not tax income from capital. But once the factories are built, the government reneges in order to raise more tax revenue. You see, the government is not consistent. Yeah. So this is the example of time inconsistent policy. So if you don't have the rules, the government will easily break the commitment, the promise. Yeah. The next one. Would you please read Brother Burhan? Please, Burhan. Are you there, Burhan?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Could you please read this slide?
Example of time inconsistent policy. To reduce expect inflation, the central bank announced it will tighten monetary policy, but faced with high unemployment, central bank may be tempted to cut interest rate.
Yeah. So here, to reduce expected inflation, the central bank announces it will tighten monetary policy. Yeah, increase the interest rate. Tighten means. But faced with high unemployment, central bank may be tempted to cut interest rate. So initially the government should increase the interest rate, but because of the unemployment increases, the government tries to cut off or slow to reduce the interest rate. So this the inconsistency happens. Yeah. Second example. Yeah. Next one. Sorry. Okay, the next one. Okay, I will just, oh, sorry. Suddenly, the slide is off. Okay, any questions so far, sisters and brothers? Meanwhile, I'm reopen the slide, please. Any questions, sisters?
No question, sir, but I'm still confused. Maybe I need more to read the materials.
Yes, you are correct, Sister Fatwa. Because I'm not the single one that can comprehend you in the one place. You have to read, contemplate, imagine, digest, and then you can understand what it means. Even myself, also, sister and brothers, I can understand what the essence of economics. Once I have been in the PhD, so when I was in your situation at the moment, 14 years ago, I'm confusing. What is the policy process? What is the policy makers doing? So I just got the essence, the philosophy that the policy makers actually should understand. What the best optimal points that would be reached? What is the rules first? Once you have already understood the rules, so you will understand to what extent your policy could affect and help the economy overall. Otherwise, you just going around. You don't have any goals in realizing the policy. Yeah. Okay, we just continue a bit, yeah, before we end. Okay, just continue for here. Open again. So this topic is interesting, sisters and brothers. So I recommend you to read the books, try to understand, and if you have any questions, just discuss with me, yeah, informally, please, yeah. Okay, we'll open again. Okay, here. Open again. Sorry for waiting. Okay, here. The next one. Here is the example. Other examples. Yeah, you can just read by your own. Yeah, time inconsistency. And here is monetary rules, monetary policy rules. Yeah, you can just read by your own here. I think we have discussed in the chapter of more money is supply. Yeah, last week. Yeah, yeah. Here is some calculation. So actually, this calculation actually, system brothers, is help you to setting up the rules. Yeah, to what extent the rate of inflation, the rate of interest rate that considered to be the best alternative to be followed or to be reached by policymakers. Here is some calculations. Yeah, Taylor rules, we may say like that. Yeah. So we have the Greenspan follow the Taylor rule, Greenspan's. Yeah, here, yeah, you can just read. And here the rule of central banks, yeah, is very important as well, because central bank is the institutions that independence and very helpful to reach that goals, because the central bank is the solely body that can set up the rules. And the inflation, interest rate, exchange rate is in the hand of the central banks. Yeah, central bank. And here is the chapter summary. Yeah. So the summary here, I can read slowly. Advocates of active policy believe, frequent shocks lead to unnecessary fluctuation in output and employment. Fiscal and policy, monetary policy can stabilize the economy. So if I can conclude for you about the first issue about the active policy, it is needed in order to promote the economy back to the equilibrium. It is the points. So active policy very necessary, important, yes, to promote back to the equilibrium. And the second one is advocates of the passive policy belief, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But the point is the passive policy, because they believe there is automatic stabilizers. So for what you are very active, because the economy will stabilize automatically. This is the advocates of the passive policy. Yeah. And the second one about the okay, here. Oh, sorry. Suddenly the slide is out. Okay, the next one, the conclusions. Yeah. The advocate of discretional policy believe, discretion give more flexibility to policymakers is responding to the unexpected. Yeah. So the discretionary means that the policymakers has flexibility, whether to be intervene or just running out, from the rules. And the advocate of the policy rules here, it will promote the consistency. So if you have the rules in your daily activity, it will be more disciplined, isn't it? But if you don't have the policy rules, you will be do whatever you want. So the advocates of the policy rule believe that the consistency of the policy will be maintained. But the advocate of the discretionary policy, it gives more flexibility to the policymakers. Yeah. So if you ask me, what is Pak Dimas' views of the policy, stabilization policy? My response is actually we have to understand first what is our optimal positions. What is the best optimal position that we can reach in terms of, for example, economic growth? What extent we will have the optimal economic growth? 5% to 6% or 10% or whatever. First. The second one, once you have understood the targets of the policy, so the second one, you have to understand your existing conditions. Whether your existing condition is less or more compared to the targeted actions, targeted policy. Your target is 10%, your policy, your condition now whether 6% or have been 15%. Yeah. So once you have understood the existing conditions, the third one, you can conduct the stabilization policy. Whether you will be active, you will be passive, you will be discretion, it is just the ways, just the methods. But in the end, we have to reach the targeted policy. I think that's all, sisters and brothers, that I can share with you today. Any discussions or feedbacks before we end, please? Enough? Okay. If enough, I just end the today discussions, and I will record. We have recorded this discussion, and I will put in YouTube channel, and you can just re-listen if you want to know, study again, and see you inshallah next week, the next chapter. Yeah. Thank you very much. With that, I end. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you,